Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everyone on this wonderful day? This wonderful evening, we are going to look at the biology paper 2. Yeah, we're here to look at the biology paper 2. No, it will be better than you think. It will be better than you think. Good night to everyone. Good evening to all of you. Just giving persons time to join up and we will get started. Yeah, it will be good. It will be good. It will be good. And many of you would have done this exam earlier in the day. So I know you're looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it. Paper was food. I like that comment. I like that comment. Yeah. It's encouraging. It's encouraging. Just giving persons time to join in, and then we'll get ready. We are looking at the biology paper 2 for this May 2025 exam season that is presently ongoing. We just have 2 more days of paper 2. Wednesday is the last day for any paper 2. And then after that, it's paper 1 with punctuated with some paper 3s. Yeah. So I know many of you are looking forward to those exams. Right? So this paper 2 would have been worth some 50% of your mark. Yeah, about 50% of your mark. So make sure you join us as we get ready to go through this paper. I'm just getting things ready on my end. All right, so I think we could just about get started. This is the biology paper 2. This exam would have been earlier today. Many of you would have done it. All right, so I think we could. All right. It was easy. Someone is saying it was easy. Yeah, even during the day, some persons message reached out to us and say, yes, sir, that exam was great. All right, so let's get into it. All right, we had the usual instructions. We all know this. You had the 2.5 hours, or 150 minutes. Yeah, you forgot how to label a bean. No, that was important. So, question 1, outline 4 activities that occur within a seed during germination. And basically, they're just asking you to list the things that happen with a seed. So if you could start with water absorption, you would have metabolic activity, you will have radical growth, and you will have plumule growth or the shoot. Yeah. So an easy way to get 4 marks. Yes, starting off, they start off with basically a list question, an outline question, right? Remember, water, the seed absorbs water to get everything started. You know, respiration and food reserves then start to be broken down. There are enzymes that become activated. Um, the radical, the root comes out before the shooter. So, but they didn't ask you for in any specific order. I'm just saying I put it in order. So 4 marks. Make a large label diagram to show the internal structures of a dicotyledonous seed. And I'm not going to draw that, so I'm just going to copy. Ooh, let me try and copy. But there are just some simple things to put in there. I feel I have to type in the parts that I want for you to see. Let me see if I could just annotate it. But no. All right. Then let me just type out the parts. I'm not going to draw this out for you. You know that the parts you would have looked at, and I hope everyone for this was drawing a red bean seed. Yeah, a red bean seed. The seed coat is the tester. Everyone would have drawn a little hole. You would have just make a little full stop with your pencil. That would have been the micropyle, that little dot. That dot allows water in. Of course, the biggest part of the seed, the cotyledon is the biggest part of the seed because you would have been drawing a longitudinal section. I hope no one drew a cross section. A cross section kind of harder to label, especially if you draw the bottom of the seed and the top. Right? Obviously, you will put in the radical and the plumule. Yeah. So once you put in these parts, it would have all been well with you. Yeah. And basically you're drawing a red bean or the half a red bean. Yeah. Half a red bean. So because you want to see the inside of it, right? So it's a longitudinal section. You would have put in a title. They ask you to annotate your diagram for some marks. Yeah. The seed coat, we know what's that for, the micropyle. I already explained that the cotyledon is the food reserves and where it is stored. The radical becomes the root, the plumule becomes the shoot, meaning it goes upward. Yeah. So this would have gotten us 9 marks because they asked you to annotate it. So you're writing on the diagram and the 6 marks for the drawing. And this drawing would have been bigger. They don't ask for any magnification because you were not actually given the actual seed. So let's continue on. Part C, figure 1 shows the levels of 2 hormones involved in the human menstrual cycle over a 2-month period. We have estrogen on the top part and progesterone on the lower part. In figure 1, shade the 2 periods during which menstruation is likely to take place. Yeah. So, and I think everyone would have taken out their pencil and you would be shading. Let me just try and hit a quick shade. You would be shading this part here. So on the graph, you're shading. Did everyone do this? Did everyone do this? Shade this part, right? So that's the first period. That's the first period. And the second period will obviously be the next start. So we have the 28 days here, and everyone would have shaded this part here. So that's your 2 periods that you would have been shading. Yeah? Are we all together? Let me read the comments in the chat. But it asks you to shade 2 periods, right? So if you forget to shade one, it means you would have lost one of the marks. Right? So remember, the period or the menstruation part of it is at the start of the cycle. Right? So we see 2 cycles here. So we would have shaded these 2 periods. Yeah? We all good? 2 marks? All right, let me just clear this up. State how the level of estrogen on day 28 of the first cycle differs from the level of estrogen differs from the level on day 28 of the second cycle. So we're looking at day 28 of the first cycle, which is here, and we see an estrogen level, it's low, it's very low. And then on the second cycle, we see it significantly higher, at least twice as high. Yeah, if we are counting blocks, this is about 2, and up here we see it at least 5, right? 5 little mini blocks. So it's at least twice as high. What does that mean? What does that mean for you? So cycle 1, the reason cycle 1, and I just write it out like this. Cycle 1, the reason it drops to start over the cycle. All right? It drops to start over the cycle. And in cycle 2, there is an increase to prevent the cycle from repeating. All right? So because it's high, the cycle is not going to repeat. When it's low, it will cause the cycle to repeat, meaning start over. Yeah? So just one reason for the difference stated in C2. What could be the reason? What did you all put as the reason? What did you all put as the reason for why what could cause the difference? Someone said, I said it lowers and then increases in the second. Yeah, but it asks, I'm not too sure the wording you use, if that's the exact wording you use, but it asks you to state how the level of estrogen, the first cycle differs from the second cycle. All right. And I'm seeing some answers for the second one. Yes, persons are saying it, right? The fertilization, that all of that is correct, right? So persons are saying fertilization happening. And you all know another word for fertilization. If it is a woman we're talking about, right? Pregnancy. All right. So the fertilization leading to pregnancy. All right. So they expect you to know it, right? These are 1 mark questions. These are the small marks questions, right? State how the level of progesterone on day 2 of the first cycle differs from the level on day 28 of the second cycle. So we're doing a similar thing as in what they just asked us to do. So we're looking at progesterone. This is the hormone here. Look at day 28. It's about right about here. And on 28, we see it quite up here on the second cycle. So we know something significant happened there. Yeah. So, and you would put that, right? Remember the same, it's kind of the same thing, right? On cycle 1, it drops to start over the cycle. The levels increase above, right? The cycle, the previous cycle. So it's high, right? And we going with that. They ask you, using table 1 below, compare the 2 cycles by outlining 4 comparisons that account for the differences stated in C4, which is right here. What's happening? They're asking you in simplicity, and I kind of don't like the wording for this first question. I think that's what was throwing off some of my students. Because some of them say, sir, it was good, but we had to think. But I think it's the wording for the question, right? They're asking you, what are the events that come together to distinguish a pregnancy? Yeah. And you just have to remember the events that come together for the pregnancy. So let me put it this way for you. In one comparison, corpus luteum. In the first cycle, the corpus luteum decreases. A corpus luteum only lasts about 12 days, 10 to 12-ish days when there is no pregnancy. And when there is a pregnancy, a corpus luteum could last a whole trimester. Right? When there's a pregnancy, the corpus luteum lasts as long. That's what a trimester is, what, 13 weeks? That a corpus luteum lasts that. So yeah, so that's a significant difference. Think about the egg and what has to happen for the egg. So in the first cycle, the egg passes the oviduct and without anything happening. In the second cycle, the egg had to meet a sperm. You know that as fertilization. So the egg has become fertilized, right? What happens to the uterus walls? In the first cycle, the uterine lining not maintained. In the second cycle, the uterine lining is not just maintained, it's developed even more. So it's get thicker, it's built up more. And we know that goes on to lead to the placenta and everything forming, right? So it becomes even more. Think about the egg. Yes, the egg got fertilized, but where does it go? Remember we said that the egg, without the fertilization, it passes the oviduct and also passes the uterus, meaning no implantation. But if the egg is fertilized, we know it will start to grow and multiply and become a zygote, and that zygote will be implanted into the uterine walls. So we have implantation happening. These are the 4 I choose, the easiest 4. All right? I'm seeing some persons. Did the wording trick you up with this question? Right? But keep track of your marks, to know how you all are doing. Keep track of your marks. See how it's going. All right, section D. The following occurrences may take place in the human reproductive system. Mary's corpus luteum failed to develop after fertilization of her ovum. 8-year-old Ruth had her ovaries removed. Brian's vas deferens was severed. So we have Mary first, the corpus luteum failed to develop, and that hinges off the question that we are literally talking about. So if the corpus luteum fails to develop after fertilization, because remember, the egg already out, fertilization happened, the corpus luteum and progesterone supposed to maintain for a while. And if that doesn't happen, the body goes into a natural abortion. Right? This is not an artificial one where you go to the doctor and then they send it to the pharmacist, etc. This is a natural event, and it happens, unfortunately, sometimes. 8-year-old Ruth had her ovaries removed. Therefore, if she has no ovaries, she wouldn't, and remember she's 8 years, right? No release of eggs when she hits puberty, right? Because the ovaries is where the eggs are, right? They may be immature, but they take the corpus luteum would be shed. Miscarriage is a natural body abortion. That's correct. So Alexander, if you put miscarriage, that's correct. Brian's vas deferens was severed. This just means sperm is not going into the semen. Yeah, he could still produce it, but it's not going into, it's not mixing. So the semen has no sperm in it. Did you put no children when she gets older? I wonder if you'll get a mark for that, boy. She can't have children. I wonder if you'll get a mark by that. The phrasing of I'm not particularly liking the phrasing of the sentence, she can't have children, but you'll probably get a mark for that. A vasectomy. They never told you it was a vasectomy, yeah? But vasectomy is basically what has happened here, right? And that's 25 marks. A whole reproduction question for plants and human, 25 marks. All right, let's go on to question 2. Yes, Lionel, she can produce female gametes is correct. All right, question 2. Jan, a high school student, spent several hours each day browsing Facebook and TikTok. She felt increasingly pressured to become as thin as people she admired while browsing. So she began to take diet pills constantly. List 3 social effects of the abuse of diet pills. So, well, we obviously see that she has unrealistic expectations about body appearance, right? Because she's now trying to imitate these people. She don't even know if the things on Facebook and TikTok Photoshop, right? So she have some problems. Other things leads to health problems, meaning a greater burden on reactive medicine. Reactive medicine is where there's a problem and then you have to fix it. Preventative medicine is where you try to prevent the problem from happening. Yeah. I put peer pressure. Yeah, peer pressure would answer the first thing, the expectations of her body. And diet pills are often sometimes considered gateway practices onto other problems, malnutrition, deficiencies. They could lead to serious problems. So effects, social effects, these are. Let's continue. Explain one way in which the constant use of diet pills may be harmful to Jan's health. Yeah, it could lead her to becoming underweight, especially if they're working, right? It could lead her to become underweight, sufficiently underweight, or malnourished. She could get a deficiency disease. She could end up in serious problems. Not to mention, if she's constantly using it and might be desperate, she could develop an addiction. So that's also a thing. Name 4 illegal substances that may be abused by teenagers and young adults. Just pick the drugs you all know that are illegal. I hope that's what you all did for this. Cocaine, marijuana, heroin, MDMA, right? Just pick the drugs that you know to be illegal. Addiction is crazy. Marijuana, cocaine, yes. Heroin. All right. But yes, so 4 marks. This marks, yes, Molly. Yes, that's right. I'm trying. Um, they said illegal substances, huh? Yeah. Alcohol is not illegal. These steroids not illegal. Okay, Sai? They are also illegal substances. Tobacco is not illegal, especially if you are an adult. Remember, teenagers could be an adult. Huh? Alcohol not illegal. All right. A study was conducted to investigate the use of diet pills by people in a Caribbean country. The data from the study is shown in figure below. Right, so we have figure 2, use of diet pills in a Caribbean country. With reference to figure 2, which population abused diet pills the most? And all you do is watch and see which one has the highest percentage use, and it is teens. So teens have the highest. Suggest 2 reasons why the population identified in C1 show the greatest abuse of diet pills, right? Why are teens abusing diet pills so much? Yeah, and many of you may are teenagers, so you all will know, eh? You all will know, so just write the answers, right? So teens, especially girls, tend to be sensitive to weight. Secondly, who do you all think diet pills are advertised for? They are targeting teenagers, eh? They're targeting teenagers, young adults, that kind of classes, right? So that is who they advertise for. You're not advertising a diet pill for a 70-year-old man or a 70-year-old woman. No, it's teenagers and young adults you're going after. The Caribbean community, CARICOM, is concerned about the abuse of diet pills in the Caribbean. Suggests 3 measures that could be put in place to reduce the frequency of use of diet pills in the Caribbean. So what we could do, what the governments, because CARICOM is governments from the Caribbean, what can they do to help curb this problem? Yeah. You want better regulation, you want education, you want laws and policies. You want the usual thing. Education could come in the form of advertising, marketing. You could include it in an exam like biology paper 2 for 2025. Yeah, all of that is part of it. 3 marks for that question. And that gives us another thing. You could even let it be a prescribed pill. That is correct. Yeah, that's correct. And that's where the laws part come in, right? Let me see something. Right? So you could put in laws and policies to make it a prescription requirement. Right? Make them prescription, encourage laws and fines for overuse. That's true. That is true. Limit production. You might need to control the importation. That's also a way you could do it. All right. So that question seemed, you all seemed to fare much better than the other question. All right. So moving on to question 3. They ask name 3 organelles which are only found in plant cells. 3 organelles found in plant cells. You could go with the chloroplast, the cell wall, and the central vacuole. Yeah, easy, easy. And this question is giveaway marks. Eh? This question, they're trying to help you all make up marks in case you all lost marks in the previous questions. And then they come and ask, what is the function of any 2 organelles named in named above. Yeah. So let's write out the function. And you will get him out. So the chloroplast is to trap sunlight. It has chlorophyll in it, which you know is the pigment. The large vacuole, the central vacuole, is to provide support. Yeah, that pressure that the plant needs to keep it rigidity. That does it well. The cell wall protects and prevents the cell from bursting. Easy maths. All right. Outline how the structure of a mitochondria is suited to its function. And if we have all seen pictures of the mitochondria, they always draw it with two layers, right? So why do they draw it with two layers? Because that inner layer, which is an inner membrane, it needs to bend and wobble. Remember, it increases length. Anytime you see bends and wobbles and something convoluted, it increases length. All right? And that length is very good when we need to produce energy, right? The length is very good because there are other things for producing energy. It have the whole Krebs cycle. It have calcium. Calcium had to move here and there, right? So it's important that inner membrane that wobbles and goes up and down, and it helps for energy production. Yeah, that's what we're answering. I'm seeing somebody say they will talk about the structure. The structure needs to correlate to its function. So the structure is that it's double layered, or it has two layers of membranes, right? Complete the table below by describing the expected observation if the indicated cells are placed in each of the given types of solution, providing an explanation for the expected observations in C1. Yeah. So what will happen to an animal cell if it is placed in concentrated sugar solution? It should shrink. And why should it shrink? Because water will be lost via osmosis. Yeah, you're all showing off now. You think everybody get this one correct? If the animal cell is placed in distilled water, well, that cell will grow, and it will grow so much that it may most likely burst. Yeah. Oops, hold on there, boy. All right. It may most likely burst, and that is because of osmosis. Um, if it's a plant cell, right? All right. And the distilled water for the plant cell, we have the cell will become turgid, it will swell. And what's the reason for that? Because water will move into, water will move into the cell, but not so much that it could cause the cell to burst. Because remember, this cell will have a cell wall. Someone put appears flaccid. That's correct. You could have used the words, ooh, plasmolyze for plants. Yes, I like Lexi. Lexi used the correct words. Nice, nice. Ultraviolet. You are talking about the hypotonic, isotonic, and hypotonic, but those are referring to the solutions. Okay, so 15 marks for this part. 15 marks for this part. So question number 4. You are a member of an environmental team that is visiting a landfill that is reaching its capacity for the garbage it can store. The operations manager of the landfill is interested in creating a plan to increase the space and decrease the negative and environmental impact of the landfill. State 4 challenges associated with recycling of manufactured products. First of all, I hope everyone said that it's expensive. Recycling is not cheap. Recycling is not cheap. So saying it expensive, you'll get a mark for that. Quality decreases with recycling. Yes. Someone said it takes too long. Takes a long time. Yeah. Takes long time. Requires a willing community. Yes. Right. I put it as many persons not interested, but I like how you put it. Requires a willing community. Yes. Contamination of material to be recycled, right? That can happen. All right. Someone said it takes a lot of energy. Yeah, that will make it expensive too, right? So this question is a everyday common question, right? So most persons could just think about this. You didn't even have to learn material for this and get the marks. Bacteria present at the landfill break down biodegradable material. Explain one possible environmental issue which may occur as a result. When bacteria is breaking down stuff, one of the products, one of the things that they release is methane. Methane is released, so that has to go somewhere, right? Not to mention, when those plastics something are broken down, then toxins are also released. All right. So these are problems. These are problems that could happen. Yeah. Because what happens if those toxins get into the water supply? They leach into the groundwater, etc. All right. So be aware of that. 2 marks for this question. They only ask for one, eh? One. I put 2, but they only ask for 1. Breeding of pests. Emily, a landfill is not supposed to have pests. Eh? You are thinking about a dump, but a landfill is not supposed to have pests. There's a plan to open an unused section of the landfill before trucks begin dumping garbage in the landfill. It is recommended that a study be conducted to identify the species of plants and insects present in the area and also determine how they are distributed. Suggest one technique which may be used to conduct the study. What technique did you all choose? I hope everyone chose monitoring, right? Environmental monitoring. Did everyone choose that? Because the next question after that comes up for 3 marks. So they're asking you explain how the technique suggested in C1 may be used to identify the species of plants and insects in the unused section of the landfill. And that's why I chose monitoring, because it has the data collection, the analysis, and the interpretation. Somebody say they put quadrat. Oh, I see what everyone did. Everyone went into a specific method. You're not wrong, eh? But remember, it's insects and plants. If these insects could fly away, how is your quadrat method going to apply? It would have been better you use capture and release, or capture and recapture, or catch and release, or right? So you needed, because insects aren't going to be large, right? They will move, and many insects have wings, they could fly away, right? So the quadrat wouldn't allow you to do, and it keeps saying species of plants and animals. All right. So, sir, I put a very large one. What do you mean by a very large one? You mean larger than a meter square? You can't capture the plant, and sweep nets don't capture plants either. Right, yeah. And that's why I'm encouraging persons to choose monitoring. Monitoring. But the exam has already passed, right? So that's okay. 3 marks for this. The plot of land next to the landfill is sloped, and a traditional farm is located there. Name 2 techniques which may be implemented on the farm to reduce soil erosion. I hope everyone choose the easy ones, because once it's sloped, that should be the giveaway. And if we're following your syllabus, then terracing and contour farming should automatically pop into your head. What do you mean by crop rotation technique? To reduce soil erosion, that's what you use, crop rotation. You use planting trees. If you plant the tree, you need to prevent the soil erosion, right? So you want to prevent the soil from being eroded as water passes, etc. So you use crop rotation. No, you can't use crop rotation for that. Planting trees like mangrove, then what will happen to the people farm, right? So you were supposed to say contouring. Contouring goes across the slope, so it's perpendicular to the slope. And terracing is where you dig steps. You dig steps into the hillside or to the slope side, right? And then the next question asks you, explain to the owner of the farm how one named organic farming practice could improve the quality of soil on the farm. What organic farming practice did you use? It means you're not using something artificial. So now is when you say crop rotation, right? Now is when you say crop rotation, or many, and I'm going based on the syllabus here, or you would say composting, right? Now is when you say crop rotation. Use of compost. Composting, yeah, use of compost, that's correct. I'm not too sure what you mean by tilling. Are you tilling with a tractor? If so, then it's not organic. I put whacker the land in opposition to spraying chemicals. No, I have no idea what you mean by tilling. I'm seeing, yeah, boy. It's getting weird. Some of these answers. I'm not you. Once you if you could explain to them, I'm not too sure what you mean by put. If you put manure, is it correct? Ma, if you put manure, what? Where you getting manure from? Right, the dead plants and leaves on the ground to supply nutrients. And you mean mulching? Is that what you're trying to say? Mulching, Emperor? Are you trying to say mulching? Mulching is correct, eh? If you're trying to say mulching. All right. So mulching would have been correct. That's where you take the leaves, the dead branches, the whatever, and you try to put it back. You spread it over the soil and you kind of mix it onto the top of the soil. Yeah. All right. But mulching is the word, right? Somebody was saying some crazy words before. All right, so 15 marks for that. Let's move on to question number 5. We get some definitions. This is your genetics question. This is how it came. I hope persons got the marks. And for this question, they start off by asking you to define the following terms. And they ask, what is an allele? What is a gene? What is a chromosome? And they ask, what is DNA? All right. These should have gotten you some easy marks. Yes, manure, Lexi, manure is a form of fertilizer, but that's not, I am just going on what you all said. You can't just say manure. I want to know where you get the manure from, all kind of thing. You can't just say manure and expect that it will give you all the marks for that, right? So now you are explaining it. So you using manure as your fertilizer before you just said the word manure. I don't know what to make of that. All right. But if you explain it like that and say you use manure for as your form of fertilizer, then that will be fine. So did we get these 4 marks here? Protein strand in the gene. I'm not too sure what that means. Huh? Jamal is a professional dog breeder. He mates selected dogs with the intention of producing dogs with specific characteristics. He recently mated 2 dogs to produce dogs with desirable coat types. Coat types in dogs is determined by a single gene with 2 alleles. The straight coat allele is dominant and the silky coat allele is recessive. Name the process which leads to the production of dogs with desirable coat types. I hope everyone put 2 words: artificial selection. Use, use a genetic diagram to show the possible offspring which may be produced from a crossbreed between a pure straight coat and pure silky coat dog. And they already told us that straight coat allele is dominant and silky coat is recessive. So they tell us define the alleles, and that's relatively easy to do, right? You could just pick any letter. You would have to pick a letter that the dominant and the recessive letter don't look the same. Yeah? So I hope nobody picking something like S. right? Nobody should have picked S. S would have been crazy if anybody picked S, right? So I would use D. The capital D is the dominant for the straight, and the common D, the recessive, for silky. Yeah. And then we complete the cross. Yeah. Yeah. Is this what everyone did? Someone used B? Yeah, you could have used B. You have to use the same letter, right? You have to use the same letter. Did you use C and S? Wow. Wow. Remember, it's one gene, right? It's not multiple genes. Did you use capital P and common P? But I hope I hope your writing allows a difference, right? And those things tend to become confusing, right? And when we do the cross, this is what we get. Yeah. Did everyone else get this? Did you get this as your cross? And they asked you, what is the outcome? And this is our outcome. 100% heterozygous, which is the dominant, the straight code showing up. Yeah. So this was 7 marks, huh? 7 marks. That's plenty marks. That's marks for you all to be happy about, huh? All right. Dog breeding may not always be advantageous to Jamal. Suggest one disadvantage of dog breeding. First of all, how this is expensive, eh? And it's costly. Remember, these are actual animals, eh? Living animals. A dog doesn't breed as fast as a rabbit. It takes time. Even when you breed a dog, the gestational period is something like 90 days. Yeah, it takes time. And then to see the outcome, and he disappointed. So it costs and it takes time. He has to feed the dog. He has to make sure the dog have all its shots, etc. All right. So it takes time and it is costly. While watching a documentary, Jamal observes that some giraffes in the episode had long necks while others had shorter necks. Name the process which over time had led to the appearance of long necks. All right, what is this? What is causing these giraffes to have long neck? Um, it's a documentary. These giraffes are in nature. So we know that natural selection is in play. Yeah, natural selection is in play. And what's happening? Suggest one advantage that the longer neck giraffes would have over those with shorter necks. Can reach food higher up. That's a simple advantage. Yeah. It reaches more food. And that's 15 marks. That was a good genetics question. I don't think persons should be uh, vexed about that question. That was a good question. Obtain food from tall trees, easier to reach tall trees. Yes, yes, yes. All right, more food available. Yes. All right, good. Less competition for food. Yes, all of that is getting you this mark. Question 6, and considering we practice a question just like this yesterday. I hope persons were happy to see this question where you get to label. You had to label things for 6 marks. They're giving you 6 marks in this question. Yeah. All right, so they are basically giving us some marks. So A is the trachea or the windpipe, ribs for B. C is the bronchioles. D is the air sac and alveoli. E is the lungs. F is the diaphragm. 3 marks. I like that. I like that, Emperor. 3 marks. Yeah. It's okay if you spell diaphragm wrong. Once it's still recognizable, you should be good. Simon has been a smoker for the last 5 years. He tried to stop smoking last year, but was not successful. He recently attended a health fair where he learned about the negative effects of smoking. He decided to make an appointment with his family physician to discuss what he needed to do to stop smoking. Outline one possible way in which Simon's health may be negatively affected by each of any 2 named substances found in cigarettes. There are many, many substances found in cigarettes. You could just pick 2 off the top of your head and roll with it. I pick tar and nicotine. Yeah, tar decreases your lung capacity. Nicotine hardens the arteries, decreasing blood supply. Easy marks, as ultraviolet pilots is saying. Easy marks. You could have picked other things. Some pick tobacco, etc. You just picked your 2 substances and identify them. Suggest one reason why Simon may have been unsuccessful when he tried to stop smoking is because nicotine is one of the most addictive substances in the world. Yeah, nicotine is really addictive. Human beings can exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide because they possess an efficient gaseous exchange system. Explain how 2 characteristics of the gaseous exchange surface in humans allow for the efficient exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So we know that a large surface area, all those air sacs, all those little balloons, the alveoli, create a high or a large surface area inside the lungs. I also will go with membrane, a 1 cell thick, allows easy diffusion of gases. Yeah. You could pick other things. You could use moist. Moist helps gases dissolve easily. What else? You could have used highly capillarized, right? Means a very good blood supply. Makes gaseous exchange very easy. 1 cell thick, nice. And that's 4 marks right there. And this brings us to our 100 marks. Yeah. And that is it. That is the 6 questions for May 2025 paper 2 biology exam. How was it for you? How was it for you? Tell me, where are we? Where are we? Knowing, are we on track for 1? Let me know if we are on track for 1. Your SBA mark going into this exam and your paper 2 mark that you just got. Paper 1 is still to come. Paper 1 is still to come. I want to remind persons that we have a whole playlist of paper 1's videos for you already up on YouTube to check out. So make sure and subscribe to the channel for when we do lives in preparation for the paper 1. If you click that notification bell, you will be given notice when we do go live for paper ones, because paper one season is coming, right? And in 2 days, paper one season is coming. I know some persons have the POA starting tomorrow. Yeah. 70 something, about 85. That's wonderful. That's one. That's ones. I'm seeing ones. This is great. This is why your favorite principal shows up here night after night to get these ones. Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes. Wonderful. All right. So, and with the paper ones, we aiming for 100%. We aiming for 100%. So, on that note, I want to encourage you to subscribe. You can use the link in the description to join any of the paper one crash courses that we will have for biology and other subjects. And we will be doing paper ones for different subjects night after night. So do remember to always check in. Yeah. But otherwise, I want to wish everyone a wonderful evening. Do continue to perform well in any remainder exams that you have. But that's it for me, your favorite principal, Travis Roach, saying good night. You are most welcome.